It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way that things will really go with Sandra. Some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. Every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. Good morning, folks. Happy Thursday. Hope that everybody is doing well. Welcome to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth, broadcasting live and direct from the Cayman Islands. So our usual suspects, I see some of them are starting to wake up. I know the kids are out of school now, so perhaps some of you are having an opportunity to sleep in this morning, hopefully. And not leave out quite as early in the morning traffic, especially if you are traversing from the eastern districts. So hope that everyone is doing just fine. We're going to be sending out the live links here in just a second to our WhatsApp channel. Again, if you struggle to find the show daily, your best bet is actually to simply join the WhatsApp channel. And we try to send out those live links to you pretty much every single morning so that you know exactly where to find us. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, we are also on cmrtv.com. So lots of viewing options for you. Got a full show ahead today, including our first set of guests, which is going to be giving us an update on the situation in Venezuela, which has been really devastating. And we're going to get the latest news there. And then we have some government officials, Minister, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, and PS, which is Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Julie Hunter, will be coming on after that to tell us a motion that they are considering and doing the research and supporting as it relates to Cuban-Caymanians. And I think all of you will certainly find that discussion interesting as well. Phone lines are always open, so feel free to call in. Of course, we remind everyone, we did an amnesty yesterday, so certain people got unblocked, and we want to remind people, of course, the rules are what they are, which means that you've got to be respectful to guests. No profanity on the morning show, especially before 9:30. Well, definitely before 9:30, and just be respectful. Common decency, I think, should not be so hard. Let me just start the Instagram feed here. It looks like the computer restarted overnight. So we're going to just get that going as well. So it's another beautiful day in the Cayman Islands. So please put your virtual hands together for my first guest. We've got Mr. Daniel Garrido joining us in the studio this morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Sandra. Thank you very much for having us here. For
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We're going to get into some of the details of exactly what is happening
real.
in Venezuela, and we also have Samia Kanan.
Yes, Samia
Yes.
Kanan. Yeah, she's
Okay.
from there.
Good. Yeah. Good morning, Samia. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us today. I'm good, thank
So,
you.
yeah. So let's just let people know who you are. So, Daniel, you're here in the Cayman Islands as part of the Venezuelan community.
Yeah. I'm here. I've been living here for 6.5 years. I'm a marketer, so I'm happily living here in the Cayman Island. Yeah,
Yeah.
part of the community. We are in a small community here in the Cayman Island. We are about 45,
Wow.
and we are not that much, but yeah, we are here.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
And I hadn't really ever thought about potentially how many Venezuelans we have here. So I'm glad that you told us.
Yeah.
Very, very tiny, in fact.
Yeah. I am the only one illegal here, by the way. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
And are you from Caracas, or where in Venezuela are you from?
I am. I was born in another city, but I grew up in Caracas. That's my city, along with another cities in Venezuela. But yeah, I'm very attached with Caracas. I've been living there for a long time. Actually, one of the most devastated areas in Caracas used to be my neighborhood. I used to walk
No.
by. Yeah, for sure. For me, it was. I mean, I couldn't believe it, and at some point, I was broke because
Yeah.
I mean nobody has idea the dimension of the disaster we are living there. And I say we are living because in a way we are connected with the country, with families. Fortunately, my family, it's okay, my kids are okay, I have
Uh-huh.
kids living there. But friends of mine, not that much. I mean, friend of mine lost their homes, their
Uh,
kids, family members. Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's it's very hard. It's very hard, very
Oh
hard.
my gosh. We're going to unfortunately have to get into some of those
No,
details,
yeah,
but
for sure.
I
Happy,
know
happy.
how
Yeah.
difficult this is. But let's talk a little bit here to Samia. Samia, you're there in Venezuela. Are you in the capital, or where exactly are you?
Yes, I'm currently here in the capital, Caracas. I've been here. I lived this terrific episode with the earthquake. This was past Wednesday at 6:40 p.m. 6:14 p.m. Yes, I was outside my building. I was about to take the elevator, but my cousin, a cousin, texted me. I didn't knew about her for a long time, so I said, "Well, let's go out, walk by outside the building, and talk to her." And thank God because I start feeling the tremblings, like yes, and it was terrific. The sound of it, I've never experienced something like that because I live like in a little mountain, and wow, the sound was very terrific. Then I just get into the middle of the street. I was looking up, so nothing came to me. I was very confused in a way. I thought, are airplanes coming to Venezuela, or is this an earthquake? It was very confusive, and I heard everything falling down from the buildings.
Wow.
Then what I just felt was when this is gonna end. The sensation, the feeling inside the body is something that is staying with me because sometimes I think that every Venezuelan, everyone here in the city and in Vargas has that sensation still in the body. So then people came down, and we were all shocked. We missed communication, we missed signal, phone signal. So then we found out that buildings came down. So we were amazed. Like we thought, well, this was very, very huge. It felt very, very huge, but we never thought this was going to happen. And then we find out about Vargas, that is in the other side from the mountain. Vargas, a mountain is between Vargas and Caracas. The major disaster is in Vargas. So then we find out that that happened also in Caracas. We have some buildings down, and it was like a nightmare. Yeah, it
Wow.
is. It feels
It is.
like
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let me ask because you know, we know that obviously the earth is constantly moving and shifting.
Mhm.
Is Venezuela on a major fault line? Or, I mean, do you recall hearing about earthquakes in the past, or is this something that seems a little bit foreign to you?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
We had an earthquake like this 60 years ago in
Right.
Mhm.
67,
67.
1967.
67.
Yeah,
67. Yeah.
yeah,
In
because of the fall.
1967.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
the San Sebastian fail, is that the name, Daniel, right?
No, San Andres. San
San
Andres.
Andres? San
San
Andres
Andres.
fail. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this always shifts, like always turns on every 60 years. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, there is a video of a teacher. He was this guy. I don't know. He's a geologist or something. He was saying to the military service like weeks ago that an earthquake was about to come. We were about to have experienced an earthquake because he was counting the years. He said, "We are about to experience an earthquake."
Oh,
We
wow.
Yeah.
also, yes, and it was, I think, at that time 7.2, and
Mhm.
this time 7.5, or is
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. It was 7.2 and 7.5. Yeah, there were because let me clarify something. There were two major earthquake last Wednesday, and
yeah,
they were between them was just 39 seconds.
Oh my God.
Yes, yes, that's why people in Venezuela said it was a long earthquake. No, there were two, right? 7.2 and 7.5, right? So, and Venezuela is just in the middle of two plates, the Caribbean one and the South American one, right? So when those plates move, right, Venezuela is just in the middle, right? And Samia is right. I mean, there is no scientific proof that every 60 years the earthquake will happen, but most likely because the first registered one was in 1900. Okay, so and then 1967 and then 2026, right? So there's no scientific proof about that, right? Nobody can say yes, it's no, no. But there was something like we should pay attention to this, because some numbers are not lying. But yeah, authorities, of course, they didn't pay attention.
Wow.
yeah.
Unbelievable. And obviously, we know that Venezuela has been in the news in recent times.
Hmm.
And we know that the people in Venezuela are struggling. So I
Hmm.
can't imagine that. And then this on top of, you know, oh my
Yeah,
God.
Sandy. Yeah, Sandy.
It's just shocking.
Yeah, Sandy. So I know there's so many countries around the world having serious problems, right? I know that, and I don't want to say that we are suffering more than other countries. That's not my point here, but we have been suffering a lot. I mean, since 30 years, we have been having a terrible government that they don't really care about people, and that's democracy, you know. And I mean, I don't want to sound very politic now, but that's true. I mean, and one of the more touching moments at the now is that the minimum wage in Venezuela is $3. Wow, right? Plus some bonuses that the government give to people, they reach 240 US. Okay, hardly. Okay, so I'm talking about For a very cheap room in Venezuela, the rent will be $300, $400.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And nowadays, after the earthquake, you can't believe how many donations inside Venezuela we are having. I mean, people earning just that little amount of money is giving water, food, taking their motorbikes, going to La Guaira, Vargas, paying their gas. I am helping people paying gas, petrol, water
Mhm.
from here, right? Samia is doing the same. Nobody's paying her. She doesn't believe to any organization. She does that because she's doing that because she loves, she cares about it. And a lot of people do that at the moment. That's very touching. And when we are here in front of 7 Mile Beach watching the sunset, it's like a wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to be here, but at the same time, I have to do something because I want to. Though nobody's obliging me.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing me to do it. I really did it. Inside my company, I did a landing page where people can donate, and I'm doing this here every single day, talking with Samia now. I mean, because it's our people. I used to live there. I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
it is
the
very.
extent of the damage. We're gonna look at some footage here in just a
Hmm.
second, but the extent of the damage is shocking. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's important, as you said, for people to recognize
Exactly.
that there were actually two earthquakes
Yeah.
essentially back to back.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, they
I
call
don't
it
I
like
don't know if I've ever heard of that like in modern times even happening.
yeah. In 2023,
Like wow.
In Turkey, there were two earthquakes, but the separation between them was 9 hours. I mean, it doesn't make it
Yeah.
less horrible, right?
Yeah.
But that was the separation. In Venezuela, was just 39 seconds. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. On that website, I send you, which is toctoc.ky,
Yeah.
toctoc.ky/Venezuela. I gathered some videos so people could see the moment when the earthquake hit Venezuela, rescue people being rescued, and aerial footage, drone footage, when you can see the disaster. One of my friends, one of the volunteers, going to La Guaira, Vargas, the most damaged area, he told me yesterday, just yesterday, he told me, Daniel, it's not just a lot of buildings that collapse, Daniel. All of them collapse. And some of them are just there, but they have to be destroyed. So it's something like you can't picture that. You can't picture that.
Wow. Well, we're gonna show. I'm just downloading some footage here because we will be showing
Yeah.
exactly what this looks like. Now, Samia, you mentioned that basically a phone call probably saved your life because if you
Yes,
hadn't got on that phone call, you would have been in the elevator.
yes. Actually, I text my cousin and I told her, Albani, you just saved my life
Oh my
because I was
God.
about to get into the elevator and I wanted to gossip with her because we had a long time without talking, and I just started walking and sending voice notes, and it started to trembling, and I really thank her for being with me at that moment. I lost communication with her. I was very worried because she didn't knew about me, and I thought she's gonna read the news. Maybe if this gets, uh, um, if people get to know this soon, and she will be worried. But yeah, it was very complex. I read that this earthquake, it's called complex earthquakes, and also what happened with this kind of earthquakes where there is a gap, a little gap in between them, um, is that you have a lot of aftershocks. We have been feeling a lot of aftershocks, and with the magnitude of 3.4 days ago, it was like 4 point something or 5.
Hmm.
It was it's very short aftershocks, but
Yeah.
people is scared, still scared. But I know nothing like that magnitude, that big earthquake from past Wednesday is gonna come again. So we are here, like in emergency, of course, national emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we are, it's insane, but hospitals in the past, hospitals, public hospitals, didn't have medical supplies,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have been filled in 24 hours, something that never happened in 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to a hospital with medical supplies, first aids, and everything, and they told me, please don't bring more. We are okay. So that really makes me happy because
Right.
people is here moving, cooperating alongside to help, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
touching. Yesterday, I went to the main university here in Caracas, and everybody is working hard. People is using their knowledge, their experience, and people from the universities. They are using what they know, their tools to help. I think this is the time for us that really we really wanted to help, like to rebuild everything. Like this is a moment we
Mm-hmm.
were expecting, not like this, unfortunately, but I know Venezuelan people is ready in their hearts and uh,
Mm-hmm.
to help to provide, and that's what's going on. We don't even know each other, and I have the phone of thousands of people
Yeah,
texting
me too.
all day, like what do you
Yeah.
have, what do I have, where do I go,
Mm-hmm.
where do I
Mm-hmm.
have to
Hmm.
send this, and coordinating everything, and we haven't
Yes.
received support from the government, and also these guys that are supposed to be ready for
Mm-hmm.
this emergency, natural disasters emergency. They're not doing anything. There's
Mm-hmm.
the civilians, the citizens are working with the hands, without tools,
Yes.
without proper clothes, and
Wow.
saving lives, saving lives. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just shocking. And I mean, amongst all of this, you hear the resilience of the Venezuelan people.
Hmm.
Babies. I saw one, I think it was yesterday, where a baby and a
Yeah.
mother were pulled out alive still,
Hmm.
which is shocking.
Hmm.
Um, it's
yeah,
just, so hard to believe. So we're 1 week out from this double earthquake that basically happened back to back. And we see that, as you say, Samia, some rescue efforts are underway. And it's interesting what you say, because the international media is saying this morning that some of the hospitals are facing collapse.
Yeah,
yeah.
as
So,
well.
yeah, I mean, I see a
Yeah.
headline this morning that's saying that doctors are warning that the worsening health crises, they're struggling with the injuries, the infections, and shortages. So there's a lot of need there. Over 2,000 so far, 2,295 people have been confirmed dead, but some 11,000 people injured, and many more are missing. So that death toll is expected to increase sharply.
Yeah, so far there are 42,000 people missing.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
reported.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah, and the UN is expecting that we
Mm-hmm.
will have 10,000 casualties.
Oh my God.
yes,
That's horrible because I mean those
Yeah.
deaths, that those 2,000 and something, that are the official numbers, right? Bear in
Yeah.
mind is the people they could recover,
Mm-hmm.
right? But no, we are not talking about the people that are buried in the ground. You
Yeah.
know, they are buried in the ground. We are not talking about
Wow.
that people. So when the time comes and they said, you know what, we can't find these people,
Yeah.
they will be declared dead.
My
So
God.
10,000. I mean, the UN is sending 10,000 body bags to Venezuela.
wow,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
dimension this. In the Cayman Island, we have 30,000, 13,000 household,
Mm-hmm.
standalone household.
Mm-hmm.
The damage in Venezuela was about 59,000 buildings damaged
Mm-hmm.
yes,
or collapsed. So it's
Mm.
5 times Cayman Islands altogether, the 3 islands, put it all together 5 times, nobody has house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So can you dimension that? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. That's why every single dollar you donate, every single penny you donate, maybe will help someone without a house drinking water. You know, drink water. I mean, it's just that. It's just that simple. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and something that is worrying me is that where are the people is going to be allocated because they just came here to Caracas. They are in these places, these big plazas, with no tents, not that
Hmm.
much tents. It's raining. There's a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of women, people without missing families. Also in Vargas, people is needing tents because they don't want to leave the area. They still are looking for their siblings and they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
leave the area. So down there is getting putrefact. The other is heavy, and we don't have I'm worried about people about intoxication.
You
It's
see?
a,
Yeah.
there's a lot of hot in there. There's people dehydrating there, and
Mm-hmm.
I they're also needing vaccine, and I believe the name of this vaccine is let me tell you, um, tetanus vaccine, because they
Mm-hmm.
are dealing with a lot of beans and bars and everything. You see, taking out all of
Mm-hmm.
these. So people down there, they need tents, they need vaccination. Also, there's people with diabetes and high pressure issues. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we need help on that, and that's something that worries me because also there is international rescuers. They are helping. We have received a lot of help, but they find out here. They came here and find out that there was no tools, no heavy tools for work.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like they bring uh, their tools,
Catering
but
tower.
she's
Mm-hmm.
still missing, still missing. They have given her a lot of support in between them, and that's really touching, of course. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but we still need more help. We need more help. We need international aid. So to really during this crisis to manage this crisis,
Yeah.
uh, because we are in a state of emergency and this country wasn't ready for this. We
No.
weren't ready for this, and I believe some friends that
Yeah.
are there, some nurses and doctors, they're telling me that most of the La Guaira's state is gone. Places where I used to go, where people from other countries came for the first time, looking for
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. Us going to the beach and having a good time, and no, December 31, like all of that is gone. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there, but they, they say it's very isolated. Like it's like
Mm.
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
hard. It's
It's
very hard. It disappears. A lot of places has disappeared right now.
yeah.
And I'm
You
worried
know,
It's
about all the people that the missing people that we're not gonna find because that's a fact. The
yeah.
missing
yes.
people that we're not gonna find.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful the video you are displaying now because in that video, it's all about volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of them are volunteers, okay? And you could
Mm-hmm.
see that there is some international aid there, the Mexican, there's people around. It's 27 countries at the moment. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, from very, I mean, you could imagine people from Jordan send help from Jordan. Actually, there was a very funny video, right? Because I mean, because we Venezuelan, we are very like that, okay? We make fun about a lot of things, even the tragedy. It was so touching.
Mm-hmm.
The volunteers, when people were scared, they being
Mm-hmm.
rescued, and the guy was like, "No worries, love. No worries, love. You, oh my God, you look so beautiful. Hey, come and see her." And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my God, you are so hot. Calm
Mm-hmm.
down. We are going to rescue." I mean, that's how we are. So
Yeah.
the international help came here, and the people from Jordan, like, they don't speak English, they don't speak Spanish.
Yes.
And there was a guy, okay, so how are we going to communicate? Okay, and the Venezuela said, no worries, sign language, work for me. And they go, you do this, I'm going to bring water. You do this, and you're going to bring. It was so funny. And the guy
Yeah.
was laughing, and they said, these people, they are suffering, but they are still making jokes, you know? And but the point here is that all of those are volunteers, and they have been trained in less than a week by international aid. Okay, I said, hey, dude, you have to do this, like this, like this, like this. I didn't know. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Hey, dude, you are not wearing any helmet. Well, I don't have any, but I'm going. So yeah. That's
Yes.
that's the situation.
Trying
there.
to still find the humor despite this being, it's said the worst earthquake in 126 years in Venezuela. You know, we're looking at some footage here, and it's just absolutely shocking. We see the sky going red after the earthquake. I've actually never really seen that before in terms of an earthquake, but that happened. We see the yesterday talking about, again, miracles that continue to happen. A 3-year-old boy was found and rescued, which I think is just amazing. There's a video here of a poor puppy who was taken out of the rubble, and poor thing, you know, he was so thankful. He was licking his rescuer, just so thankful to be found. So there's the human toll. There is the you know, animals are being impacted. There's another picture of a guy who he runs, I think, an animal shelter there, and his first priority was trying to get his poor animals out to save as many of them as possible. So this story is just it's so incredibly sad, quite honestly.
You know,
I've
one dog saved 350 people. One dog.
Yes, I saw that. His name
One
is
dog.
do you remember his name?
It's Tsunami.
Tsunami. Yes.
It's a Venezuelan dog.
Yeah.
And we have something about 50 dogs there. I mean, not from Venezuela, from around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent like 3 days ago. I sent medication for the dogs because they're needing that. They're needing some support for them. Also, I want to say something about kids that I'm amazed about. I know the kids are in shock. Of course, everyone is in shock. Getting outside of that and being alive is a miracle, a blessing. Finding these kids, but these kids, when you talk to them after you take them out, before, sorry, the speech they give, they know who are they, who are their parents, where they live, and they also, like, with that confidence, and also sometimes like calm down. I know in shock, but these kids has helped a lot too with their speech, with what they have to say. So wow, that's really touching too. How kids have to deal with this in a way. Yes.
Yeah.
That's tsunami.
That's tsunami there.
Yeah,
Over
tsunami.
350 lives. I mean, it's just really something else. And this is the young 3-year-old who was rescued yesterday.
Yeah.
But the toll of this, I mean, I can't even imagine. There have been entire families that have been wiped out.
There was a guy that went out to buy some pizza for his family, and the building collapsed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's an Argentinian soccer player, wife and kids were there.
The family is gone.
Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to even understand this magnitude of devastation, to be honest. So we need to think about how we can help. We know that the Venezuelan community here in the Cayman Islands is small. Obviously, Cayman is a small community, a small country, but as they say, we're small but mighty, right?
Yeah,
so we know that there's every little bit helps, and there are things that we can do. You know, the plight of the people in Venezuela has been overnight. A week ago, just completely, it was horrible already. Now it's going to be that much more worse. So how can we help? You said that you have put up this website. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Red Cross here is receiving funds. Okay,
Yes.
we got in touch with them last Friday, and on Monday they had everything ready. I mean, amazing. So I put together a few links where people could donate money,
Mm-hmm.
right? They could do it through the Red Cross here in the Cayman Island. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Butterfield transfer. Well, it's a bank transfer. Or if you feel comfortable donating money to the UN organization like UNICEF, World Food, you could do that. There is a few organizations where you could donate. I mean, there's a lot of organization. I just put together the well-known organizations
Mm-hmm.
because it's important for people to donate where you feel more comfortable and confident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to donate. But yeah, in here in the Cayman Islands, Red Cross are receiving funds, but not in terms of goods. Okay, because logistically it's not possible to send food, water, clothes to Venezuela from the Cayman Islands. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
direct flights, and that is a major problem to be solved, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
best way to do it is through money. Okay, we send that money there. Red Cross from here will
Mm-hmm.
coordinate with the International Red Cross, and they will help there.
Mm-hmm.
They won't send money to Venezuela. They will send. We will help through goods,
Mm-hmm.
through people, through machinery, medicines down there. There is a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of countries there in Venezuela, and it has been coordinated by the International Red Cross. So feel confident that your donation will arrive there, will arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just want to remind people, I'm glad that Daniel mentioned, because I know we have talked about this before. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
we have regional earthquakes, people want to send like church clothes and shoes. And,
Mm-hmm.
your good intentions are acknowledged. But the
Yeah.
best thing to do is to let the organizations that are experts at
Mm-hmm.
disaster handling disaster situations, allow them to coordinate and to lead the effort in terms of what is needed and where it needs to go, because they normally have, like the Red Cross and others, the UN, they will have contacts on the ground, so they will know
They have.
exactly where things are most needed, what is most needed. And the easiest way to help is by donating funds, not goods,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
again, they call it the second disaster, where you
Uh-huh.
try to send goods into a country and it gets stopped at the port. It doesn't get past the port. If it gets past there, it ends up in the dump. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
it with tsunamis across the world,
Yeah.
India, Thailand, all over the world. People are sending stuff, meaning to help, but those are not the things that people necessarily need, and they do not help. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to discourage people from doing that.
Yeah.
Donate, make monetary donations, because then they can purchase supplies as needed, medical supplies, whatever else
Mm-hmm.
they needed, and direct it in the areas that certainly need it the most. So
Yeah.
again, folks, this earthquake, two massive earthquakes back to back, hit Venezuela on the 24th of June. And the devastation now is becoming very, very evident, because we have over 2,200 people confirmed dead, over 11,000 people still missing and accounted for, and over 58,000 buildings damaged or fully destroyed as a result of these earthquakes. It is difficult in my brain to even imagine what that looks like, Daniel and Samia.
Yeah.
I
And there
mean,
is another big number here. Almost
yeah.
16,000 people are homeless.
Yeah, it's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Yeah.
It's a big
Almost
issue.
16,000 people are homeless.
Because this
Wow.
country, I don't know if this is well said, but this is broke here, economically speaking. We need a lot of help. Need a lot of help to rebuild not only infrastructure, only moral, also
Yeah.
moral, also dignity, everything, education. Their kids missing their parents, they're missing love, affection. We really have to be very compassionate and have a lot of patience. We have to work on that. I know we have been dealing through a lot for a long time, and we know how to look at the other side and put in the shoes of the other. but we need help. We really need help from the international community. We need mobile clinics to came to La Guaira and help. We need that. We need people to help us. I know the world is
Mm-hmm.
insane right now, and we all need help. But I'm really grateful for these people, rescuers that came here to risk their life for us. We still need people because we want to help here. We
Mm-hmm.
want to help, but sometimes we can go down Vargas because there's too many
Mm-hmm.
people, and sometimes people don't know how. They want to help, but they don't know how. So sometimes we improvise. We have been improvising. It has
Mm-hmm.
helped because we have to do something. If the
Yeah.
government doesn't do something, we have to take the role. We have to take. We have
Mm-hmm.
been leaderships. We have settled leadership in the
Mm-hmm.
citizenship and took the yeah
The lead. Yeah, the
the
lead.
lead, the lead.
Yeah.
So we need
Mm-hmm.
more international help support. If you Venezuelans have people of your confidence that you can send them
Mm-hmm.
donations, send them to them so we can bring it to the proper hands, to the right people. You
Mm-hmm.
see, that's what I'm doing in a way, um, and that's how we're doing things here,
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to work hand by hand and
So
thank
people
you
in the
for
case. No, sorry, sorry.
yeah,
No, no, no.
continue.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sandy. Go ahead.
No, no, that
Mm-hmm.
thank you for this window for us,
Yeah.
people
Mm-hmm.
listening that we need help. We need people. We need people. Please come and thank you. Really, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
all I need to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Yeah, and again, the people can donate through the Red Cross here. And again, the website is toktok.ky. Toktok
Mm-hmm.
is spelled toctok.ky
Mm-hmm.
slash Venezuela. In that website, we gather a lot of information about the earthquake, photos, videos,
Mm-hmm.
numbers, data, and all the links where you can donate. Please, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even $1 will be enough. I mean, $2 will be okay. $2 can buy some color books. So Samia is helping kids at the moment. So those $2 can buy a color book, some
Mm-hmm.
crayons. So those kids can be distracted because
Mm-hmm.
there's thousands of orphans, thousands of orphans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. We have some comments from our audience. Damien was asking if the sky had turned red before or after the earthquake. So that was after.
No, I can ask that question. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why the sky is red is, I mean, it looks like it's due the earthquake, but it's not. It's the Sahara dust, right? So it was a coincidence. That's why Samia is talking
Ah.
like that
That's
because
why I have to
she
talk.
has been affected by that dust, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I
Yeah.
have to say something. Before the earthquake, these similarities, these phenomenon similarities, uh,
Mm-hmm.
or sinisters, happened in Chile too when they before they expect the earthquake. Uh, there was I don't know exactly at what month, but someone recorded a
Mm-hmm.
video in a place here in Caracas called Montalban, where
Mm-hmm.
this woman was saying, "Look, hear this sound. This is strange, like a
Mm-hmm.
sound, like a very strange sound." And then
Mm-hmm.
days later or weeks later, some red lightnings, like lightnings, start
Really?
to both in
Mm.
the sky, red, red, red. And it seems that in Chile happened the same. So it's the Earth announcing like it's like a phenomenon that an earthquake
Mm-hmm.
is coming. It's
Ah,
our signals. Our signals.
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Um, yeah, I mean,
Another
jeez.
question? I don't know. Maybe our audience
Yes.
wants to know something. If the question, I'm single. If that's the
So
question, so
uh, Anthony says, what safeguards are in place for donations considering instability of the government and
Mm.
partial U.S. Interim governance
good question.
with regards to funds entering the country? So, I mean, politically, obviously Venezuela has been having an interesting time of it lately. That's an
Mm-hmm.
understatement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, what is what's the position there? Are the Americans in control, which probably doesn't give us much hope in any way? Um, are
I didn't
they
say
are
it. I
they
didn't say it.
are they the ones who are running the show, or is your interim Venezuelan government? Is she in control of things? How do you feel that the government response has been thus far? And if people are sending donations, they want to feel comfortable that the people are actually going to get the help that they need.
Well, I received a communication from the Red Cross, right? And they said, we are managing the funds. We are managing all the logistic, as well the UN, as well all other international organizations, right? So please donate because that donation is safe, okay? What is not safe is if you send money to the government institutions, to be
Yes.
fair, right? That's the problem, okay? It's safe if you do it through this international organization. And now, one of the good parts of this about Americans is that they are managing that situation, right? That flow, okay? The government is very, very, very worried about keeping themselves in power. You know what I mean? So all the international donations have been received by international organizations, okay? UN, Red Cross, and that. And of course, that's what I know. That's what I was told. I'm not there to tell you 100% if true, but I believe that because I could tell that the help is getting there and it's being distributed. Sammy, I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to add something.
Well, I think like for donations, right? Just look for the just look for let me look here. Like long-lasting organizations. The Red Cross, of course, it's worldwide, but it's difficult because I think some organizations here are doesn't have like that link that like are not connected worldwide. So you can receive funds. We don't have like that. We don't have that kind of thing. So I'm not really sure. It's just I believe just don't send something that is involving the government. Try to look for the long-standing organizations.
Yeah.
Look for these little places, ONGs that are gathering here in the country, in the cities, that are working with outsiders, that are working and also with directly to families and siblings or friends that can help you with what you want to donate, so we can deliver it to the right hands. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. It's difficult here because um, mm, sometimes there is a distrust on that, and I think everywhere the amount of
Yeah.
money, and sometimes you just ask yourself, if somebody donate this amount, where is this? Uh,
Yeah.
why don't you see it reflected? So it's
Yeah. Just do it in a very, very trustable organization. Not just throw money here because we are going to buy shoes for kids. But you don't know that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's happened not just in Venezuela, around the world. Well, I mean,
Yes.
around every single disaster, it's the same situation. I mean,
Yeah.
who am I going to send the money, right? So, yeah, I would encourage people to do it through Red Cross or UN. Or there's
Yeah.
in that website, there's a few links that I was doing my research, before displaying those. But yeah.
I want to say
Yeah.
something that before the lightnings I mentioned, I was looking, sorry, the lightnings, the red lightnings I mentioned before, I got confused with the red sky that happened like 2 days ago. Sorry for that. Forget about the
Okay.
red lightning. Okay, forget about that. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, what I think is again, definitely the organizations that have a reputation.
Yeah, that's the word.
There's no system that's going to be perfect, but I think the downside is to not give anything because you don't trust that it will ever get to the people that are intended to receive it. And I think that that's unfortunate. And don't let that stop you from donating, because even if you can help one family, that is going to be one family of thousands that will be impacted. So don't use that as an excuse, because I think it's convenient to use that as an excuse to not help. There are organizations that you can trust and believe that they will be doing their best to get the resources to the people that actually need it the most. One of the most harrowing videos that I've seen just yesterday was this, with all of the coffins that are being shipped and are now at the port in Venezuela to bury the deceased. Which is just sad when you look at, thousands of caskets, and that will be the people that they can recover, because unfortunately, there will be people who are under the rubble that won't be recoverable. No. They're starting to wind down their recovery, their rescue efforts, and now it goes from rescue to simply trying to perhaps recover as many bodies as possible. So it is just a very, very sad situation.
Yeah.
And the people need your help. So really asking for all of you to do as much as you can. Miss Lucille says this is very heartbreaking. Even listening to these people talking, it's very sad. Buenos dias, Senora Alba. She's here listening most mornings. Damien says, I hope that they monitor the orphans and where they're being sent. Hope that they're legit orphanages. And of course, always, always, always the most vulnerable people, children, the elderly, people with pre-existing conditions, they become so much more vulnerable in times like this. And especially children who are now displaced, who may have lost, a parent or both parents or their entire families. I think that everyone in Venezuela obviously needs to be concerned about the plight of those children, both in the short term and the long term, because, we often talk on this program about unintended consequences. So oftentimes you're trying to do good and you think, we'll expedite, adoption and sending them overseas, but you might be sending them into very, negative situations. So you don't want to compound the suffering and the plight of these children and people there in Venezuela. So folks, really, it's just about trying to educate the community here. I did not initially, when it happened, someone sent me something like that evening. They said, there was an earthquake in Venezuela. And it didn't even register to me that it was this bad. It wasn't till in the morning, and thankfully we have our news team, very small team, but they were on top of it, and they posted it, and I thought, wait a minute, this happened last evening? Like, I couldn't even believe it. It was just really quite shocking, to be honest.
Let me tell you something, Sandy. We are just 2 hours away by airplane from the Cayman Island.
Yeah.
It just happened just here. You know what I mean? We are not talking about something in Asia. We're not talking something about, we are not talking about Australia. We share the Caribbean. Yes. Actually, Venezuela is the country with the longest coast of Caribbean.
Yeah.
I am a Caribbean. Samia is a Caribbean. You are a Caribbean, Sandy. So it happened just here. Just here.
That's here.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's heavy, and do as much as we can, folks, in terms of assisting. The UN, the local Red Cross, those are some of the organizations, international organizations are assisting. So please, give whatever you can, $5, $100, whatever it is that you're able to assist with. Don't fall for, when we had the earthquake in Jamaica last year, we had some local individuals. Some of them meant well. Some of them don't have the best track record. But, they jump up, oh, we're going to send a container to Venezuela. Don't do it. I'm really begging the people of the Cayman Islands to not fall into that trap again. Let the professionals handle this. There are professional disaster relief organizations. They're trained. They have dealt with multiple disasters over the years. They have a coordinated effort. They know what to do and how to get the people the help. So please let them handle it. And you can do the most by simply making a monetary donation. So we see some footage here of exactly when
look at
the
the
earthquake.
people. Look at the building, people. Look at the building.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Look at the building.
Just total collapse.
In a matter of seconds. Seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading something about the structure of these buildings and why so many of them have collapsed in such a devastating way, from building on soft ground to the concrete material, aging concrete material, and so on. It's just really, really shocking. But, you even see here cracks in the ground, people just panicking. Over 58,000 buildings have severe or complete collapse, complete damage. So, wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. He's a member here, Daniel Garrido. He's a member of the Venezuelan community here in the Cayman Islands, and they are doing as much as they can. Do you know if anyone here had a direct loss that you're aware of, Daniel?
No, I don't know. Anybody has mentioned that. I have friends that lost her family and kids and things like that. Yeah.
Very difficult.
The father of a good friend, he survived. He lived I believe, in the 5th floor. The building had 7 or 8 floors. He was going to take the stairways, but then he just saw nothing. Everything went down, but he could make it on a little wall or a window or something. He just came out of. Yeah, thank God, and he saved his life.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure every single Venezuelan community here, every single member had someone who lost something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wow. All right, folks. So please, do what you can to help. Just such a devastating situation. But thank you, Daniel, for coming on today and for arranging for Samia to also join us. Perhaps in another couple of weeks, we'll check in to see how the, sort of rebuilding, because in the midst of all of this, you've got to think about helping people immediately now, the injured, helping people with burials, because obviously people have lost their family members. They need to try to bury them, helping them with housing. There's a lot of immediate needs. And as time goes on, some of the needs might shift and change slightly. But I'm sure that our community would like to continue to get some updates on what's happening there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And Sandy, on behalf of every single Venezuelan, I would say thank you very much. This is a massive opportunity for us to spread the voice. And please, people, donate. Remember, $1 could buy a little water bottle to someone who lost their house, their family, and everything, or even a single kid that lost everything. You know? Yeah. So, in the name of Venezuela, muchas gracias.
Yes.
Muchas gracias.
Yes, thank you so much. And we're glad that we can help to spread the word.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Samia. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Alrighty. All right, folks. So again, Daniel's here in Cayman. Samia is joining us from Venezuela this morning. Just really a devastating situation. We are praying for the people of Venezuela, but more importantly than just our prayers, we need to help So I am imploring all of you to find an organization that you can trust. It's times like this because I know people are always like looking for reason to, oh, well, I don't know if I can trust the Red Cross. Listen to me. The way that I see this, quite frankly, is it is better for you to, I'm just trying to adjust my camera here. It is better for you to trust and make a mistake than not trust and not help a single person. Does that make sense? Because I do believe that the funds will get to the necessary people. So really and truly do what you can. And, yeah, it's just so incredibly devastating. Unimaginable. All right. Thank you very, very much for that. So we're going to switch gears here now. Just give me a second. We'll take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back with the Honorable Ralston Anglin, who has an important matter to discuss with Parliamentary Secretary Miss Julie Hunter.
For some families, applying for early childhood education support isn't simple, and it has nothing to do with whether they need it. The early years matter more than any other, which is exactly why access to support should never be out of reach. No internet at home, a parent in difficult circumstances, a child in government care. These are real situations, and no child should pay the price for them. So we've introduced the option for a trusted third party to complete the application on a family's behalf. A relative, a social worker, a pastor, someone the family knows and trusts. The parent remains fully informed. Their consent is required, always. This is about making sure no child misses out simply because the process felt out of reach. If you work with vulnerable families in a school, a church, or other agency, you can now step in. That child deserves their chance, and now you can help make sure that they get it.
We talk about equal opportunity. Well, this is what it looks like in practice. A child's start in life should never depend on whether their parent could navigate a form. We've removed that barrier. If you need help applying, or you are in a position to help someone else, use the third-party application option. Visit us at moeapplication.gov.ky and begin the process today.
Want to join the conversation on the cold, hard truth? Call us live at 345-936-2626. Before calling, please remember, no profanity, no personal attacks. Stay on topic. Respect differing opinions. Keep your comments brief so others can participate. CMR reserves the right to disconnect calls that violate our community standards. Now let's get back to the conversation.
All right, folks, welcome back. We do have again Minister, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, who's going to be joining us, along Permanent Secretary Miss Julie Hunter. Now, this conversation here today is about Cuban connections, and so we have an interview that we're actually going to play, and then we're going to have them jump on and talk about exactly what is going on.
Ms. Genevieve, I know that your family is one of the families that are affected by the Cuban-Caymanian, I would say, crisis, because a lot of them that came here are still not sorted with their immigration status. They're still in limbo. Some of them are, kind of Novarians. They don't belong anywhere. So we're trying to get them sorted now and get a legal pathway to citizenship within the Cayman Islands. I remember during the campaign, you were telling me that your great-granddaughter is one of those that have to be here now on work permit. Despite the fact that you are born Caymanian, you didn't leave Cayman until conditions had dictated that you leave, because after the storm in 1939, your family, there was basically nothing here, and you had family in Cuba, so they arranged for your mother to take you and your siblings to Cuba. So tell us a little bit about that journey. Your grandfather, your Cayman connections.
Well, my father was Captain Ira Dixon, captain of the schooner Alson,
Okay.
that was lost in the 39 storm. My mother had 5 children, the oldest one 9, youngest one month, and I was 2 years old. My grandparents also, my mother's parents were living in Cuba, also from Cayman. My grandmother was Genevieve McLaughlin from East End, and my grandfather was Samuel Jervis from Watertown.
Wow.
So they sent to look for my mother with her 5 children. And I
Okay.
was 3 years old.
Right. And
I
this is
went
right
to
after
Cuba.
the storm, the 32 storm.
Yes. No, the 30, no,
39 storm.
39,
Okay.
not 39 storm. My mother married my father was from Cayman Brack,
Okay. All right. And you stayed in Cuba for 57 years, I believe you said?
57 years, from the age 3 until 60 that I came to this island.
Since 60. So you've been here now since 1989, is it? 89 you came to Cayman?
90 something I came.
Okay. So anyway, you came when you were
I'm
60.
89 years old, so that means that
29. You've been here 29 years.
29 years.
Yes. But one of your granddaughters is still here on permit. How do you feel about that?
Great granddaughter.
Your great granddaughter. How do you feel about that?
I feel very bad, to tell the truth, because I don't understand that. Because she's my great granddaughter, she's not, don't have a descendant.
Yeah. It's like she
I-
doesn't
I-
belong anywhere.
I can't understand that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I
So
will never will.
Cuban-Caymanians have always built up Cayman, and you know people like Mr. Alfred, which you're very familiar with, Mr.
Yeah, I know.
Rollin, you know Ernest, all of those people came and basically made Cayman.
And
So
Maribel.
I feel like we have a debt that we owe the Cuban-Caymanians to make sure that they're sorted and that all of their relatives have a pathway to citizenship, which is what we're trying to do now through the motion that we're putting together for the Cuban-Caymanians. So I'm just very confident that we are going to get this right and that we're going to see that all your great-granddaughter and people like her who is still not sorted in Cayman with their Cayman status will get Cayman status this time around, and that we'll have a bespoke legislation now that there wouldn't be any questions asked about the Cuban-Caymanian and their status in Cayman. So thank you for talking to us today and letting us know how you feel about this issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much also for.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, folks. So let's go ahead and welcome the Honorable Ralston Anglin and Permanent Secretary Miss Julie Hunter in the studio with us. Good morning to both of you. How are you this Thursday morning? You muted yourself, so just unmute yourself for me, please. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
You hear
Yes, yes.
You hearing us loud and clear now?
Now you're coming in nice and hot. Good morning. How are you?
Yes, we're doing well. Thank you for having us.
Doing great. Sandra.
So thank you so much. I am waiting on your email, Minister, but I think it might be what Miss Julie sent last night, which is this motion. Let's understand what the issue is here, because as I was listening to that video, and thank you, Miss Julie, for sitting down with one of the persons actually impacted by this, because sometimes it's hard to actually contextualize what an issue is until you hear a story and then you see the people who are literally impacted by this. It kind of reminded me at the UCCI graduation the other night when we had the keynote speaker talk about her grandparents were Cayman Brackers. You know, they got married at the little church there in Cayman Brack, and it was such a heartwarming story. And then to hear her say that she applied at some point to be a Caymanian, be acknowledged, I guess, and she was turned down, I thought, how is that possible if you have grandparents that are Caymanians? So break it down for us, Minister.
So Sandra, let's start with the detail, a big picture background, and then PS Hunter is going to walk through what happened in caucus, and then we'll open the conversation then fully. Sandra, one of the things that we really fail to do, and this is something that's on our work plan in the ministry, is have a true local social studies curriculum. This, when we say Cuban-Caymanians, that is something that should be understood from West Bay all the way to East End and all the way over to Middle Cayman and Cayman Brack. But this is an issue that is not well known in Cayman. So what happened, as we know in our seafaring history, Caymanians settled all over the place, right? Caymanians settled in Philadelphia, New York, Tampa, Miami, Nicaragua. We went all over the place. One of the places that we went was Cuba, in particular, Isla de Pina, Isle of Pine, Cuba, and worked in factories, worked in citrus fields, etc. So you had Caymanians who immigrated and were sending money back home, just as we did at that time. What happened was we then have the Cuban Revolution, and they got trapped in Cuba. And that, you see, so that is the issue that we faced. Is we had a group of Caymanians who were in another country and could not get back home. So you heard Miss Genevieve talk about leaving when she was 2 years old. I can talk about Mrs. Samay Rivers, who was born in Boson Bay, left at 5, came back to Cayman at 76 years old. That is when she finally got back home. So this isn't about persons who are first generation Caymanians that we're looking at. We're looking at Caymanians who are multi-generational Caymanians who wound up in Cuba, then trapped in Cuba. And so there was advocacy around them, starting with Mr. Honorable Willie Farrington. He was the person who really pushed it. And then we had the elections happen, I think somewhere around 1978. And then at the time, Honorable Vincent Ebanks was then in an EXCO at the time. And we then had what was the first freedom flight. Now, note what it was, Sandra, what we're talking about here. Freedom flight. That is what that was referred to. That flight was referred to because this was Caymanians coming back home, being free again, being able to move out of the then communist regime. And so what we have to also remember in this entire context is that pre this, American businesses and tourists, Cuba was their playground. Just like the American mafia controlled casinos in Las Vegas, they also controlled them in Cuba. But after the revolution, the American government pivoted and had a new policy. And the American government didn't just put in place trade embargoes for Cuba. It actually put in a wholesale embargo because they then punished any other country or companies who did business in Cuba. Now that got loosened over the years, but I need to make sure. See, I wasn't even born, but at that time. But a lot of us don't know that deep history as to how we wind up where we are today.
Right.
And so what happened was after that first freedom flight, then there was advocacy to try and get more and more Cubans to come, allowed to come home. But of course, they had to be allowed to leave. What happened then over the years, and let me ensure that we give credit where credit is due. So that started in 1968, and then there were a number of other initiatives and pushes that actually wound up with more and more batches of Caymanians coming back home in the 80s. Then in the 90s, the Honorable McKeever Bush was involved heavily with another big group that came to Cayman back home in the 90s. And so what happened was when a lot of Caymanians returned home, they weren't granted Caymanian status. A lot of them were simply giving a letter by the chief immigration officer on the order of the then EXCO, which is now cabinet. They were then allowed to come home and given a letter that simply said you could live, have your being in Cayman, and didn't need a work permit. And a lot of them, quite as a lot of humans do, didn't go any further. And so what has now happened is their descendants are being looked at very different legally. Because when, at the time of their birth, how our legislation is crafted, it says at the time of your birth, the person had not gotten Caymanian status bestowed upon them. And that is the huge mess that we have on our hands that we now need to clean up. So if P.S. Hunter can go through the actual technical background as to how we got here in terms of what was presented to caucus at the time, back in March, I think it was when I brought this to caucus. And where it came from, not only have we had this as a real issue in West Bay for decades, I wound up with two specific cases, Sandra, in the ministry, where young children are not being permitted to go into school because they're not seen as Caymanians. And so I then went to caucus and I said, this madness has to end. We need to now get this regularized. And I think before, a lot of governments were very scared about how other Caymanians would react around it being an immigration issue, which is always a hot potato. But we've taken the view that we're not kicking this down the road, and we're going to be brave about what we're going to do.
Exactly. And when I started campaigning, that was one of the first issues that I dealt with during the campaign. I had Cuban-Caymanians tell me, please, I'm not voting for anybody that can't help me get my family regularized because, for years I've been trying. I've talked to this one and I've talked to that one and I've talked to the next representative, and they all say the same thing. They're going to try, they're going to help, but it never happens. So this was the issue that really I said, we've really got to take this on, because we can't, like Honorable Johnson said, we can't continue to kick it down the road, because I personally dealt with it during the campaign and I saw the passion in these people and I heard their stories and I thought, no, really, we owe the Cubans a debt of gratitude and we need to get this done. So in March, it was brought to caucus. And I'm just going to read through the proposal. Whereas the Honorable Ralston Anglin, JPMP, advocated for the regularizing of Cuban-Caymanians, that is, persons who are of Caymanian descent, whereas there were persons who were born in the Cayman Islands and moved to Cuba around 1920 and established families in Cuba in order to take up citrus farming and factory work, as there was little to no economic opportunities in the islands at that time. And whereas the Cuban government effectively allowed Caymanians to land and remain predominantly on the island off of its coast known as Isla de Pinos until 1978, when it changed to the Isle of Youth. Whereas the Cuban Revolution started in 1959 and Caymanians were then trapped and continuously advocated for their release. Whereas the Cayman Islands government negotiated the return of Caymanians or persons of Caymanian descent from Cuba. The lobbying of the British Embassy with the Cuban government resulted in the first freedom flight arriving in the islands on 22nd of October 1968. And whereas the Cayman Islands government have historic move to do this, established a group known as the Cuban-Caymanians. Whereas the Cayman Islands government brought home another major group in 1969. And whereas the Cayman Islands government continued to lobby the British Embassy to secure the return of Cuban-Caymanians over the years. And whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians upon returning to the islands were simply granted the right to work indefinitely and work without the necessity of a work permit. And whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians upon returning to the islands were simply granted the right to remain temporarily and were to regularize their immigration status in the islands after a requisite period in order to obtain permanent residency. And whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians who returned and were granted the right to remain indefinitely in the islands did not regularize their immigration status in the islands for various reasons. And Sandra, just let me pause here to say that a lot of them did not regularize their immigration status because they could not. There were significant difficulties. I got a number of scenarios that people have sent to me where they tried to get it regularized, but because of our legislation, they were given one runaround after the next. Provide this, provide that, provide the next thing, only to come back to them years later and saying, okay, you could remain, but we're not giving you status. Some of them have sent me texts between the last few days where their relatives have had to go back to Cuba after a long and lengthy application process, only to be told that they were not granted Cayman status. So this is a major, major issue. And it's not to say that a lot of them did not try. They tried and they simply did not get through, right? Whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians who obtained any of these types of letters did not then add their descendants born in the islands to those letters. And whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians simply lived on the basis of the letter to indefinitely remain and did not or could not, like I said before, obtain a structured and fair path to Caymanian status. Their descendants now find themselves having to navigate the immigration system without any pathway to the letter to remain indefinitely, whereas a number of Cuban-Caymanians brought children with them who at that time did not qualify for Caymanian status as of right, were simply allowed to remain as minors. And whereas a number of those minor children were transitioned to student visas upon gaining the age of majority in order to remain in the islands, as they were not here the requisite number of years to obtain any security of tenure at that time. And whereas in more recent times, the Cayman Islands government have allowed the Cuban-Caymanians to return, but were placed in the regular immigration system and had to obtain work permits, but had siblings who had been granted Caymanian status or permanent release. And whereas successive governments have not changed the immigration law in order to regularize the issue of the Cuban-Caymanians, whereas this systematic failure have now created a number of stateless and or greatly disadvantaged Cuban-Caymanians, it was resolved by the caucus of the National Coalition for Caymanians that the Honorable Ralston Anglin JP was to establish a working group charged with researching and identifying individuals in these various immigration situations with a view to regularizing this matter once and for all with a bespoke pathway in law to gain Caymanian status.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Sandra, what I want to make, we have to make this extremely clear, right? These are persons who have Caymanian lineage running through their veins. These are not first generation or anyone just seeking to get status, having just come to Cayman without having that established link of family lineage. These are Poweries, these are Tomlinsons, these are Dixons, right? These are all people that are Caymanian last names. And so, Sandra, the issue is, and let's make this very, very clear. Let's just say someone came in the 80s and have lived and survived just on the letter that they were granted to say you could work without a work permit and indefinitely remain. Wasn't allowed to have a structured and seamless way to get status themselves. They then had a child. The fact is, because they didn't didn't have the status when they had their child, the child can't now look back and say, my mother or father was Caymanian at the time of my birth. Then that child has another child. And they then can't look back and say, my parent or grandparent had Caymanian status at the time of my birth. And so the fact is, previous governments, and this is not about criticizing any previous government. Look, previous government should all be applauded for the number of Cuban-Caymanians that we have gotten back home. At least they're back home and back in Cayman. But the fact is, because the immigration law was not changed to allow them to get granted Caymanian status versus a letter to remain indefinitely without work permit, that is what has now caused a generational issue, Sandra. And now this government has looked and said, we can't kick this can down the road any further. We can't continue to have young people who know this is, first of all, their Caymanian lineage, provable Caymanian lineage, and now their children can't get registered in school as Caymanians. And the system is quite rightly looking on and saying, show me the piece of paper that proves this.
And they can't produce that paper.
That's right. And so this is not about any group of people. And I think we have to be very clear. These were Caymanians who left home. They left home. They left our home, this home that we call Cayman. Were in Cuba at the time of the revolution, and there was no way to come back home. And that systematically then they were allowed to come back home in batches. And so families were separated for decades.
You know, what was significant to me when I was doing the interview with Miss Genevieve did not have a Cuban passport, All the time she was there, she had an outsider passport that just allowed her to travel within Cuba. But she was reminding me that if you are Cuban, you have I can't remember what color, but if you're not Cuban, you had a green little identification card. And she said for the whole time, because she was considered Cuban, she couldn't get a Cuban passport. She had this other little travel document that was saying to everybody, as soon as they saw that green one, they said, oh, she's not Cuban. Right. And she said, she was disadvantaged there, and she was disadvantaged when she came back home.
So, just let me clarify that point. So the Cuban government didn't see them as Cubans either?
No.
Oh, wow.
Because remember, take up Miss Genevieve. She was born in Cayman, Sandra.
Yeah.
She left there 2 years old. She was a born Caymanian.
Right.
Okay. So and that's what, and this is the thing that is so surprising to me, and P.S. and can attest to this. When I brought this up to caucus initially, a lot of people thought, well, we're talking about asylum seekers. Outside the district of West Bay, for some reason, a lot of people don't know this story. They don't understand the intricacies of this story. And therefore, they don't understand the real impact that multiple generations are now facing in our country. I can name one because I asked him if I could call his name. There's a West Bayer by the name of Carlos Bruno Ebanks. Can't get a better West Bayer name than that. Carlos Bruno Ebanks. Known to us in West Bay as Santana. Known to us as Santana. Sitting here among us in Cayman for decades and decades and still have no ability to go access any services now that he is a senior because he does not have Caymanian status. It is wrong. Absolutely wrong. Right? He was born to Dorothy Helen Ebanks Yates and Earl Davis Ebanks. Okay.
Wow.
But born to two Caymanians. Right? And now because the burden of proof has been so heavy, not only that, a lot of times documents got lost. Right? A lot of times documents weren't available. And so this burden of proof that continued to be put on people, and without that clear path, and as I said, let me repeat myself, Sandra, the government in the past at least got Cuban-Caymanians home.
Yes,
right?
That was a big thing.
Right.
Ronson, I know that, Minister, sorry, I know that you were too young to remember, but I remember specifically that first flight and the preparation. I guess why it hits home so hard to me is because I was a Northwest Pointer living in, most of them came to Northwest, went into West Bay at that time. And I remember the year-long preparation. I remember Uncle Lee, remember now, this is his family. He had been gone from Cuba since the 1930s. He came home, married Aunt Gloria. And remember now, none of his family was here. They were all trapped in Cuba and couldn't get out. So when they finally got permission to bring that first flight home, we were preparing for the whole year. Uncle Lee's family is coming. Uncle Lee's family is finally getting out of Cuba. These are Caymanians that could not get out, but were now allowed to come home. And I remember specifically that first flight, the joy and, of everybody in Northwest Point that day when we welcomed them home. That was a major thing because there was so many Caymanians that like we were using the word trapped, and that's exactly what they were, but because they weren't allowed then to come home freely like they would have liked to do.
Julie? I'll give you a little humor on a Thursday morning. Yes. Sandra, go give her a little humor. I got to crack one little joke in the midst of the serious. Not that I was too young. I wasn't born.
Oh, okay. That's right. He wasn't born in 1968. That's right. Okay. All right. I got it.
Yeah.
That is how old an issue this is, right?
Yeah. Wow.
It's in the 59. So obviously this is and Sandra, as I said, because I don't want this to have anything called division in terms of politics, etc. So I want to be very clear. I thank the Honorable Mr. Willie Farrington, who's a national hero, the Honorable Benson Ebanks, who is now a national hero, the Honorable McKeever Bush, our first premier. Those three, I can say without fear of contradiction, they did a lot of work and a lot of lobbying to get Cuban-Caymanians home. Yes. And I'm here. I'm not going to try to steal anybody's. That's right. I'm not going to try.
Credit where credit is due. It was due to their efforts and all of their negotiations with the British Embassy. I mean, time and time again. And if you talk to most of the Cuban-Caymanians that came home on those first 2 flights, name, those are the names that they mentioned. Those are the names that they thank profusely. Those 3 names.
Yeah. So this is really something that is going to wind up being a major initiative. And what we've gotten authority to do now, and because initially it was something that we were bringing, the fact is immigration is handled by the Honorable Michael Miles, and so his ministry is going to have oversight, because they'll need to be the ones that take the legislation forward. What we're doing on the ground is we're forming a committee, and that is going to do the actual groundwork and research, so that we can find out all the persons who are here with approvable Caymanian descentage, where we can look back. And once we can look back, let me repeat, Sandra, and find a mother or father who came, and if they had been allowed to get Cayman status versus a letter to remain, we then have to look and be fair about what happened to their descendants.
Yeah.
We can't be in Cayman in 2026 and have little children being disadvantaged purely because of how their great grandparents were being brought home. Because that's all it's about. Because if they had been granted Caymanian status at that time, we wouldn't have a lot of these issues, because
they could claim the rights.
That's right.
They could claim the rights. And some of them have had to go back home. I know of one case that was sent to me yesterday, where he was trying to get his Cayman status through his father during COVID. He went to a basketball camp in the Dominican Republic and got stuck. He's a Caymanian. He went and got stuck, couldn't get back. By the time he got back, they tried, got back a year later.
Oh, wow.
Yes, got back a year later, only to be told the status that you applied for, you now have to leave. He had to leave and go back to Cuba.
Wow. So you see, Sandra, this issue has such wide and far-reaching implications.
And remember now, all his other family members are here in Cayman and stayed here, and he had to go back to Cuba by himself.
And so think about
at 19 years old.
Wow.
After having lived in Cayman for all his life.
And so Sandra, that's the other thing that is so unfortunate about this, is the listening audience needs to understand, and us as Caymanians need to understand. So listen to what P.S. Hunter just said, because I was going to bring it up around how long Miss Genevieve took to get her children here.
Her children, much less her grandchildren.
Right.
One by one, every few years, Miss Genevieve would get it. And she's talked about you last night. She talked about you. Let me tell you, your help, and you come in and visit her specifically and talking about the situation and trying to help her and so on and so forth. But every few years she would get one out.
Wow. And so think of it like this, Sandra. If one person gets treated one way, we have to have the system established that everybody that can be proven in that category gets treated identically.
Exactly.
Right.
That's one of the problems right now. That's one of the main issues.
Right.
Because we don't have a bespoke path. We don't have the legislation in place to say exactly how you're going to deal with the Cuban-Caymanians. What is our policy? So now we are on the cusp of making this policy, getting this policy and putting the new immigration regulations into place. And this will be our policy going forward, which will deal with all of them that are in that group, in that bucket. And we won't have these issues afterwards saying, I can't apply because I'm not old enough, or whatever.
That's right.
All right. We've got a caller in the line. Let's go ahead and take the caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Minister Raleigh, and also Minister Juju. Here I tried to get in touch with you from the other day. I connect with your office, Minister Raleigh. This is Lucille Forbes. I don't want to break down. I've been having a problem with my great-grandchild. He's 10 years old, which is Bashan Morris, going to John A. Cumber School. He got his ankle broken. He went on march on Monday for the King Parade, and he got his ankle broken on Tuesday. I cannot get no good information. I would love to speak to the parents, I'm not going to run with them. I just want to talk with them to find out exactly what happened. And someone from the school, I know it is holiday now. And Minister Angren, I know you're doing a good job. You and Minister Julie. But I know you all have your hand full. I want to give you my address from my grandson, Kadri Morris, that born in the Cayman Island. I'm Jamaican born by blood, but I'm a Caymanian with heart. I have nowhere else to go. When I leave from here and say I'm going home, I'm going to Cayman Island. I don't have a home in Jamaica. I brought my children there. Some of them went back, they didn't get no papers because, when they grow up, they have their own mind and their own choice. I have grandchildren there. I have great-grandchildren there. Trisha Mesa graduated the other night too. Jeremy Gold grandchildren, they're all my great-grand. I have a lot of grandchildren and great-grand in the Cayman Island. But this little one now that I'm talking about with his Dacian Morris, his father, he won't go to a government person to get nothing sorted out. And he been bullied by the girl he had married. She stayed with him for 2 years.
Let me
It's too much.
Yeah,
It's too much. I can't explain everything now, Minister.
Yeah.
I can't explain everything.
Miss Lucille, let me I know the minister already has your contact details through the ministry, so I'll ask him to. Yeah, because we're trying to stay on point with this discussion this morning, but I'll remind them to reach out to you.
I understand.
Yeah, we'll ask them to reach out again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want him to get my address in Vibes Lane and go and dig my grandson out because I don't know if he's suffering from depression or what.
Yeah.
He can't even get to see his child.
There's certain.
He's been threatened.
Yeah. Okay. We'll give him the details to reach out to you again because we have to be mindful that there's certain things that the minister legally probably cannot do. So he can't literally go and dig your grandson out, but if he makes sure that he has the support that he needs, we wouldn't want the minister to get arrested for taking a child out without consent from the parents and other things that must be in place. So good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, morning.
My name is Shirla Ferguson Evans.
Yes, good morning.
Caymanian.
Oh, good morning, ma'am.
I just want to give my opinion.
Sure.
Possible?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So I can just go ahead?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. I think that all generational Caymanians should be recognized upon producing proof with documentation. I see that it is very unfair that our fourth generational Caymanians and the great-grandchildren with Caymanian blood are not recognized, pushing them to work permits and rollovers also. Really, there should never be a cutoff as long that there is a proof of Cayman connection as a descendant.
Thank you.
It is very unfair. Sorry?
Thank you for calling. We share your opinion. We share your opinion. Thank you for.
Okay. Make I just finish. It is very unfair to Cayman descendants and ancestors who in the 90s looking for a better life had to settle in the south coast of Isle of Pines or elsewhere, also born there to survive. Thank you.
Wow. Has your family, can I just ask you before you leave, has your family been directly impacted by this situation as well?
Yes, I have relatives that are still, still also in Isle of Pines still.
Wow.
Also in Isle of Pines still. Yeah.
Yes.
I still. And some here on the island. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, dear. All right, 936-2626. The phone lines are open. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, dear.
Very interesting topic this morning.
Thank you.
I have family in the same situation. My grandmother had 4 sisters that left Cayman in I think it was 1930 or 1931, right?
Mm-hmm.
They went to Isle of Pines, what is now called Isla de Juventud, Isle of Youth, right? And they, just one of them came back, which is in sometime in 1982. But I had some cousins that actually came back after the law and stuff was changed. And as a matter of fact, you have people like Mario Ebanks and so on that are relative to me, that they came from Cuba, Mario and John and George, and then they have a sister as well. But there is a situation still that a lot of these Caymanian families that went over to Cuba, and they didn't go to the mainland, they went to the island. And right now there is still a problem, for these people now to get back home. Now, I say that to say this. Why have we accepted, Cubans coming here on makeshift boats and then offering some of them political asylum when we do not help our own Caymanian people to get out of Cuba because of the economic situation there? It is totally ridiculous. And I want to implore, let me say good morning, Julie, and good morning, Wilson.
Good morning.
But let me just implore and ask you all. You all are now the sitting administration. You can go about having those laws change, and you can go about making effective changes for your people to have a better life and get out of somebody else's country that they had to go and be there for refuge. Because presently right now, what's happening, we're getting a lot of people from other countries running here to Cayman, and we are helping them. So why are we not helping our own people? And yes, I got to identify myself because I have no access to grind. I'm Richard Bernard from Georgetown. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We do have some comments that we'll read here as well. But again, folks, the phone lines are open, 936-2626. And I know that we have some family in Cuba. Sometimes you guys hear me talking about them. So I was just messaging my cousin to say, how did they get there? Like, that's the story. And same thing, went looking for employment opportunities back in the day. And, they ended up staying there, getting married. Now you've got multiple, generations. So, so she says that that's how our grandmother actually met our grandfather. Ours believe in the revolution and they stayed. So I guess not all Caymanians wanted to come back at the time. One of their daughters came out years ago, hated Cayman, and then actually went back to Cuba. Because they have bought into the system there. They've been indoctrinated to a certain extent. So some of them are still there. And one of the stories that I hear other family members say is they were used to the Cuban system of the socialist system of being handed everything. So when they saw one was like a qualified teacher, like, yes, you can come here and you can work for money and do all these other things, they were kind of like, oh no, this was too much for them. They may be having second thoughts now. I don't really know. But there you go. There's a lot of families, I would say, that in some way or another have actually been impacted by this more than you know. So unapologetically saying, list the countries of persons of Caymanian descent, Honduras, Cuba, Nicaragua, Jamaica, England, etc. Sandra Coe, good morning, says Amelia. The focus is on our other nationalities instead of dealing with their Caymanian descendants. Thank you for sorting this out, she says. Now to this current government, we do have some other comments. This person says, good morning, Sandra. I commend Minister Anglin and P.S. Hunter for taking real action on this matter. It has been a long-standing issue, and the solution has always been in the hands of Parliament to pass the necessary legislation. Let's remember we're talking about Caymanians in every sense of the word, and they deserve resolution of this matter. Another comment says this situation is not unique to Cubans. My mother's sisters sister, multi-generational Caymanian, both sides, was refused Cayman status this year. Her father shipped out of Jamaica, so my grandfather followed him. And when he shipped out of Jamaica, she was there, and this is where Mummy and her sister were born. They returned to Cayman as children and went to school here. She married a Canadian and lived there for 60 years. Now that her husband has passed away, she has no right to come home as a Caymanian. It has been refused. She has her nest egg and more than enough money to come home, but she has been refused. She has no children, and it is only me to look after her in her old age. So will the resolution to this, based on that comment, will the resolution to this be focused just on Cubans, or are we looking at a broader resolution that would help other people who may have gotten stuck elsewhere in the world?
This one is just
Sandra,
for
this is Cuban-Caymanians on the basis that they got stuck in the middle of a revolution and could not leave. Right? There's a huge difference here, and I want to make sure that we give this situation what it deserves, the focused attention that we're talking about. Real Caymanian, this is multi-generational Caymanians who wound up in a country that then had a revolution and they couldn't leave. I mean, picture this. Right now, you have the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's just say a Caymanian, three or four Caymanian families had gone there to work in an industry, a scientific field. Let's just play pretend. Let's just play pretend that Russia actually won the war and occupied it and refused any of those persons to leave. Now, you're going to tell me 30 years from now, after they've had children, and their children have children, we're not going to look at them differently than anyone who made a particular choice. My father's family settled in Tampa. We're going 6th generation in Tampa and across the United States. But the fact is, they went there and they were free to move and come home at any time that they wanted to.
So that's different.
There's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Right. So this is night and day what we're talking about, and that's why we're focusing just on this issue for now, Sandra. In this regard, what I will say to the person of of that last message, cases like that, they do need to write to a member of parliament so that we can actually look into it, because there are a number of growing.
There's extenuating circumstances. So we
like
can look
Ms.
at
Reed,
it differently.
like Ms. Reed, for example.
Exactly.
So there are other people that we know are having real challenges around navigating the system because of how legislation is crafted. We will look at that separately, Sandra. But for right now, we want to have this be an initiative because of how the history of this evolved. This is absolutely positively unique. I thank the Honorable Willa Farrington, Honorable Benson Ebanks, Honorable McKeever Bush as members of Parliament for West Bay, who has done tons of good work in this area. We now want to take this past the finish line, whereas the final resolution needs to be the granting of Caymanian status to ensure we get this fixed once and for all. Because the longer we just allow another generation to be born, that can't then prove that at the time of their birth, their parents who should have been,
they're going to be compounded.
It's already compounded, and every day that we don't fix this, Sandra, it's becoming compounded even more. It just becoming compounded even more.
We do have a caller in the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hi, boy. Good morning, Sandra.
Morning, caller.
Good morning to the two members of government, elected government.
Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Yes, ma'am. This is Jonathan Adam. I would like to ask the two of you folks, do you have a total number or head count of the folks, specifically Cuban-Caymanian Connection, whose status here in the Cayman Islands is under contention at this point in history?
No,
you have a total head count.
Yeah, we don't as yet have a total head count, but what we have done is we put a working group together with a lot of the people that came in those initial 2 flights and subsequent flights. So we feel that we have a wide cross section of people that would know who these individuals are, that they can help us identify them. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing shows like this, so that maybe those that may get missed will know that we're doing this and get in touch with our committee as well. And we can approach it from that standpoint.
Okay, thank you for that, ma'am. One can easily have empathy. There is an unfortunate history here in the Cayman Islands of many people from many different parts of the world. Ralston just spoke about his connection to Tampa. There are folks in the United States of America who are referred to as Ghost Caymanians. There are folks in, Central America, other Caribbean islands, and beyond, who are all considered Ghost Caymanians, as it were. Now, this is a situation, and there's a reason I asked you if you had an accurate head count. First of all, we have had over the last 4+ decades, more than 4, we have had this allowance, and I would say a purposeful drive to fill up Cayman. Okay? And the reality that what we have to look at is that we now have a population approaching 100,000 head of people in this country. And instead of taking a dire and necessary look at these realities, Cuba being one. I understand the reason that you're going at this solely right now, but we have to look at this universally, the whole situation. I think if we're going to be able to make any positive strides for the long term here in the Cayman Islands, we have failed people from around the world, giving them Caymanian status here, who have zero connection whatsoever with the Cayman Islands, many of whom have gained their status, gained their right to be here, who have basically bought it due to their financial largesse. So this subject has to go hand in hand with the matter, the question of let's say that there are possibly, and this hypothetical, let's say that there are 25,000 folks in the Isle of Pine, mainly, because that's where Caymanian and Cuban bloodlines mainly intersect from my understanding. Let's say there's 25,000 folks. Can we realistically expect to increase Cayman's population by 25,000 more folks with the present situation and scenario we have in the Cayman Islands, with the burgeoning lack of infrastructure over years and decades of maladministration, to put it very plainly, to keep beyond a gold rush mentality that Cayman has been subjected to over the decades?
So let me just interject.
For me,
here.
y'all, I just think it's putting the cart before the horse to a degree.
No.
I'm not saying that the subject matter is not worthy of being looked at and into, but Rosa, let me just say this, please, man. If we're going to do this, and I would say rightfully so, give first preference to those with Caymanian lineage, then we have to very much seriously look at the fact of what has been done. We have Caymanian population here now who cannot afford to go and buy land because they cannot compete with those coming in with far much more financial largesse. We have an infrastructure that is suffering from every single perspective, okay? So we have to look at that overall, Roseman, in order to, I think, in a way that is not going to create more sociological disintegration.
So
look at those factors first and foremost.
So those factors.
Anyway, Roseman, I'm sorry, I'm listening.
So those factors have been looked at. Let me be very, very clear. We have spoken about two things here, and let me make sure that we stay focused on what this initiative is going to do. This initiative is not looking outside the borders of the Cayman Islands as we speak. We are only focusing on those persons who are already here. Already here. That's the remit, that's the limit that we were given by caucus. It's only the people who are in Cayman. So this isn't net new people coming into Cayman. We are going to focus on who's here. We have to be realistic, as you've said, about overall numbers. This is people who are in Cayman. And right now, for example, as I laid out a case, real life case, obviously I can't call the names. We have 2 little young children whose parents were born in Cayman. So born in Cayman, been in Cayman all her life. Her her grandmother originally got out of Cuba in the 80s, but wasn't granted Caymanian status. She was given a letter to remain. Now you got all those generations that have been born, 3, in addition to the mother who came, the Caymanian mother who came home, all of whom are now disadvantaged, right? We are focusing on people who are in Cayman now. This is not adding anybody to this population. We don't know the exact, to the question as to the number. We are not looking back to Isle of Pine at this stage. We do not have that remit. We are looking purely at people who are living in Cayman and have been disadvantaged about how they were brought back home. And as I said, I'm not criticizing the how, because at least getting them to Cayman was good. But because a lot of them were just given a letter to remain and didn't have to get a work permit, they didn't go any further. And then there wasn't any pathways for a lot of them to go any further. And so because they couldn't get their status regularized, each successive generation has been disadvantaged. Why should we have 2 little children whose great-grandmother was allowed back home in the 80s? She's given a letter to remain, so she felt fine. She was like, okay, I'm in Cayman. I'm going to live and have my being because I'm allowed now to stay forever, and I don't have to get a work permit. Nothing else for me to do. Then on top of that, no legislation was put in place to actually handle them and get them to status, which should have happened back then. But as I said, let me repeat myself. I want to thank all the members from West Bay elected.
So look like the connection is frozen on that end. Not sure what's happening there. Can you guys still hear me okay? All right, let's see if we can resolve that. I'm just going to pull them out until we can perhaps get that resolved. And I'm aware that we have 2 callers on the line. Just stick with me, please. Let's see if we can get the minister back. All right, looks like you're unfrozen. Your internet kind of dipped there. Right, so we have 2 callers on the line. Shall we go ahead and take those 2 callers? Please remember, callers, others are waiting on the line, starting with 1811. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Anglin and MT Hunter.
Good morning.
I know that your focus this morning is on Cuba. And but bearing that in mind, I wonder if any consideration has been given to Caymanian children born in the Cayman Islands, Caymanian parents who have to produce documentation that does not exist to prove that they are Caymanian. This is happening to them in the workplace. I suspect it's one of the things to keep them out of the workplace. So since this effort is going in, looking out for the Cuban-Caymanians, hoping that the same is going to looking out for Caymanians. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Minister Anglin, I would like to call you privately and speak to you about something. So if it's okay with you after the show, I'd like to give you a call.
Okay, thank you so much. And second caller, I think you need to turn down your radio or something in the background. So go ahead and do that for me and go ahead with your question or comment.
Hello.
Yes, hi, good morning. Someone still has some sort of
yes, this is Samantha Road.
Yes, can you just turn down however you're listening in the background? Can you just turn that down for me? Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yes, hi, morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Sandra.
Hi there.
I'm Genevieve Dixon.
Yes, morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Ralston and Miss Julie.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I was been trying to call from a time, but we got. I'm Genevieve Dixon. My real name is Eretta Genevieve Dixon. I was born in Kimon the 23rd of March, 1937, in Sport Bay. My father was Captain Ivory Early Dixon, captain of the schooner Alson that was lost 9 storms.
Yes.
And then Miss Julie told you already, we were taking my mother with her 5 children. We went to Cuba, Tyler Pine. And we lived there with my grandparents, my mother's parents, that was from Cayman also. And I came back in when I was 60 years old. So I've been here now 29 years. And I was able to get status for my 4 children that I had in Cuba, and they're all here. Thank God. My daughter has 3 daughters, and the 3 of them are here also, but with the status also. But then one of my granddaughters, she came with her status, but she lost it. So I don't know what happened. She went to school and everything, had good grades and everything, but she just had problems with immigration, and they sent her back to Cuba and took away her passport until the day that she left. Miss Julie knew all that story, so I'm not going to repeat it again. And I would really like help for her also, because all of my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren that I have here, they have status. Because I am a born Caymanian, my parents were Caymanian also, and I really don't understand that she doesn't have descendants, because I'm still in this world, thank God. Okay, have a nice day.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for calling and clarifying.
Yeah. And so
Thank you so much.
that's right, Sandra. So the point is, yeah, and so the point is, Sandra, when I want to make sure we re-emphasize this point, because I understand exactly why the caller took the tack that he did and where he went. We're not talking about we're going to sit here and we're going to look all over the world and try to find everybody with a Cuban-Caymanian link. We have a problem. Seems Genevieve just pointed out that her immediate family is here. No, all have status, which is good for her family. But sadly, there's a number of people in that same category that she's in that do not have status. And that's the issue. So we have, quote unquote, ghost Caymanians that are here. That's the issue. That's what we're trying to fix. Ghost Caymanians that are in the Cayman Islands living here that do not have Caymanian status. And that is not right, because when it comes down to getting into school and accessing other services, then all of a sudden they hit a roadblock and they're looking at cousins, for example, that are identical situation to them immigrationally, but because their particular parents managed to navigate the system and get documented, they're now treated very differently. Whereas same person, same immigration situation, when you look at it objectively, but don't have status. These are Caymanians that are living amongst us, and that is not right. The government took the view that it's not right, that purely because of how some persons were admitted and then what they did, right? Let me give another one, Sandra, that was interesting. So we wind up in a scenario where a number of these people are actually living in Cayman and can vote. And so what happened was, because we never used to have a fixed electoral list. So up until I was a young child, I can remember, Julie, every election, you had to re-register. And what happened was, a number of those persons had been in Cayman so long that by the 80s, they'd been in Cayman 10, 15 years. They were simply added to the voting list. So I wound up being a young parliamentarian, having a person of Caymanian descentage, Cuban-Caymanian, come to my office. I know them, they're on the list, and they look at me and they say, Mr. Anglin, I need you to help me and my family get sorted out. And I said, why? What's the issue? I don't have status. I said, what do you mean you don't have status?
But they're on the voters list.
They showed me their list, showed me their letter, factual story, showed me their letter that they were admitted and allowed to remain, but simply because they had been in the community, and everybody simply assumed. Because remember now, these are Powers, Crowes, Ebankses, Dixons. Remember, look, sound, feel, last name, everything, because Caymanian blood is running through their veins. The assumption was made by the persons registering back then that they were Caymanian and they were added to the voter list and then therefore never ever taken off. So this has just been something that has been a mess within, and a lot of it is a West Bay issue, right? A lot of them do live and keep their from Norris Point and Boson Bay, Ekmat Pleasant. But the fact is, we are now going to have this committee, and this committee is going to be broad based. It has 20 something people on it to do the research. We're going to put PR around it so persons can come forward, and once we can get the necessary lineage and documentation, because they're here, that is then when we're going to go back to caucus and the government, and we're going to create a bespoke pathway for them to ensure that we regularize them once and for all. Now, the question that we have asked ourselves, and this is probably going to be the answer, Sandra, is that we're going to put a sunset clause in that. In other words, this isn't just going to be an open door. This is going to be something we need to fix now, because, as I said, we cannot have little children and their families disadvantaged purely because great-grandma, great-granddad, to no fault of their own, didn't have a pathway. Some had a pathway, didn't choose it purely because, as I said, a lot of people just felt like having that letter was good enough because they knew they could live without work permit and live and remain for the rest of their lives. They just felt like, you know what, that's good enough.
But they weren't really focused on the future generations. They knew they were okay.
Yeah.
But they didn't think down the line of what would happen 20 years when their children then had children and so on and so forth. So that's one of the main issues.
We do have other callers on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Sandy. Good morning, Miss Lynn and Miss Hunter.
Morning.
Hope I have it correct. Okay, so I have a question for the panel. Bear with me. I want to explain it as properly as possible. So my brother has a child with a young lady. I think she's of different nationality, but she should have Caymanian papers. My issue is, right, the child is third generation Caymanian. My mom was Jamaican, married to my Caymanian father. All of us have our papers. We're all Caymanians, our kids too. But I'm just concerned about my nephew, because my nephew at 25 years old, the loophole we had to go through just to get him a voter's ID. Currently, he's 26 and doesn't have a passport. He doesn't have a driver's license. He doesn't have any kind of recognition to the Cayman Islands. Other than a year ago, I think we were able to get him a voter's ID. We're not able to go any further than that. His father is on the birth certificate. We are aware that he belongs to my brother. So I just need help from the panel to just find out, where do we go from there? Getting him acknowledged, getting him a passport, and getting him recognized. He did go to school in the Cayman Islands. I find that strange as well. He went to all school, primary, high school as well. And we cannot get him regularized in the Cayman Islands. So I'm just asking for some update and shed some light on that. And where do we go moving forward in order to get him regularized?
So Sandra, I mean, caller, I don't know the length of exactly what all exists and whether DNA tests, etc., have been done and proven. But I would say to you to reach out to us offline so that we can get you connected with work and then see how the pathway can be fixed to resolve that issue, because we do have people in very nuanced situations that do make their immigration status tricky. But Sandra, if you can get the name and number of the caller, and then we can reach out and then see what can be done.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Does have Caymanian papers, I'm assuming, but I just don't understand how her papers cannot be passed down to the child, or why can't he get it on the behalf of my brother, who is his father, and on the birth certificate. That was just kind of mind-boggling to me.
All right, thank you very much, caller.
Thank you.
So these are immigration queries. But to be clear, what you're saying here this morning is this is a very narrow window. So we do have another person who in the comment section had the following to say. Let me just pull this up here 1 second. So they said there are far too many issues dealing with immigration for this Cuban situation to take precedence. As far as I can see, the floodgates will open with Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, and Jamaica. It will go to the Human Rights Committee and all the sundry will flood in. We have ghost Caymanians everywhere. My son is one of them. Now I have to fight for my grandson to be recognized as a multi-generational Caymanian. Floodgates open, Ralston. There's no guarantee that in the future they will vote for you. Case in point, McKeeva Bush and the seat Julie Hunter now utilizes. Help everyone or help no one at all. So how do you respond to that?
I respond to that very simply, Sandra. We're talking about people who are living, having their being in the Cayman Islands, and are being disadvantaged purely because there has been prior roadblocks and not having a pathway to have their immigration situation regularized. This is not about floodgates, about persons coming in. That's why I've made sure, Sandra, to be very, very clear, this is about persons of Cuban-Caymanian descentage who are living in the Cayman Islands now. They are here already. We simply can't have them continue to not be able to have the situation regularized. As I said, what really, really brought it to fore for me was when I got a message about 2 little young children. And when we researched the issue, here we go again. It was persons of Cuban-Caymanian descentage who are here. They are here. I want to repeat that. And I want to make that clear because I don't want to get anyone disappointed in the Cuban-Caymanian community either, right? We are talking about the persons who are here. That's what we can deal with. That's what we can resolve. However else we deal with wider issues, that'll be up to about how the immigration regime is managed going forward. But we need to deal with Cuban-Caymanians who are in our country right now, right?
Okay.
When we have people, like I said, like Santana, right? And any West Bear, most West Bears, I should say, would know who I'm talking about, who are here with us. He's been living with us for decades, right? And the fact is, if we let me make sure that the author of that prior email, I'm hoping that they're listening. The fact is, if somebody like a Santana was to now take us before the Human Rights Commission, it would be interesting what a Human Rights Commission would say for somebody who can prove that they got Caymanian parents and grandparents and are here, but simply because of how they were brought home, weren't able to get on a pathway to get their status. And some chose not to, as I said, because they had the letter. This is what a lot of people are not recognizing. When people were given a letter to simply remain, think about it, Sandra. If you got a letter to go back to the country of your parents and grandparents, and you handed a letter to say, you can live for the rest of your life, you don't need a work permit, a lot of people just said, fine, I'm home. Let me just live and have my being. The issue now is that their children and grandchildren are now disadvantaged, not because they did something wrong, Sandra. A lot of times they simply didn't have a pathway, or some of them just felt very comfortable and thankful to simply be here and to be living and having their being in Cayman.
Okay, we got a caller in the line. Caller, good morning.
Good morning again, y'all. Ralston, I want to thank you, first of all, for that clarification that you gave after I spoke previously. I have a better understanding of the trajectory and the perspective you guys are coming from with this. But I do have to say that, as it pertains to the situation in Cayman today, we also do have ghost Caymanians, as it were, from multiple other nationality nations here in the Cayman Islands. I also do understand that, with the Second Cuban Revolution and the unique situation that placed many people in, I do understand that for reasons from those who are in charge here in the Cayman Islands, from that Second Revolution up until now, that it presents somewhat of a unique situation, I would guess, diplomatically and so on and so forth. But the fact remains, to the panel, the fact remains, that we have here on the 3 Cayman Islands people who are from other places who are dealing with the same situation and the same scenario. And one can see, Ralston, I would hope you could identify with this, where they would react immediately and say, okay, so why are just the Cuban descendant population being given the blessing of having this addressed solely upon them? I would just say this, Ralston. It's sort of a question, but it's also a statement. We have this situation here in the Cayman Islands, and those who have Caymanian descendants, Caymanian lineage, who are here in the Cayman Islands, and let's just look at that alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely unacceptable that those folks do not have proper Caymanian citizenship. I think the whole system itself is convoluted, but who do not have the proper, whatever it is and whatever it's going to be called, put in place, and still have people who absolutely have zero connection through their lineage to the Cayman Islands, who have been given Caymanian status, so on and so forth. I would suggest that this is the way to move forward with this. Anybody who has a valid position to take on this, who is going through this issue, being a Ghost Caymanian who has children, family members in the Cayman Islands who are going through this, they have to get preferential treatment over and above others who are applying for permanent residency, Cayman status, or whatever the terminology may be used in this context.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you, Ralston, and to the panel, is there any framework which exists in the Cayman Islands of today which does guarantee that preferential treatment? Because as far as I can tell, there is not.
Mm.
That's my question to you. And I just thank you for clarifying for me y'all's where you're coming from with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
thanks.
I'd
Thanks
love to
very
hear
much.
what you have to say.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Caller, thank you so much for your question. As you know, our government, the National Coalition for Caymanians, that's why we got that name. That's why we crafted that name. We are for Caymanians. We recognize that there are a number of deficiencies in our laws. We recognize that that's one of the first things that we had to do when we were elected as a government, because there were so many of these deficiencies that were identified. And as you will appreciate, that was a major first initiative, is to get our immigration status and our laws updated. And we are still in the midst of that. The first wave have been approved, and now we're working on the next wave. That next wave, as you can see, the first wave did quite a bit, but the next wave also is going to correct some of those issues that you're speaking of, as far as people coming in and being able to get a clear pathway to status so quickly because of points, because of this and that. And we all know why a lot of people have gotten that status over the years, right? Those are some of the things that are now being corrected. Mm-hmm. And I would just say to you that, we can only do one thing at a time. It's a process, and we are working our way through these different issues that we have come across. And just bear with us, give us time, and we will get it sorted. We're working on a number of fronts right now, and there are different situations that have been brought to our attention within the immigration status of different people that are here that are Caymanian descent, that are from Honduras, that are from different areas that have not gotten regularized, that have been brought to us and that we are working on. But there is not a clear path in our law to say, yes, anyhow you're a Caymanian of Caymanian descent, this is your clear path to status. There's not. So to answer your question, there is not, that I know of either. But we are working our way through that.
Yeah. So Sandra, just bear with me for 30 seconds or so. When I first got elected, we had changed our immigration law that only persons with Caymanian parents were Caymanian as of right. Back in 2004, we changed it to Caymanian parent or grandparent being as of right. Mm-hmm. What the caller is talking about, what P.S. Hunter is talking about, is that within changes of the legislation, we actually already had people in Cayman living here. So like the two of us are working on a case right now of a lady who has been there 4 decades.
Yeah, something like that.
She's been here around 4 decades. But her situation winds up being a very peculiar and unique one. And that's what the caller, I think, is referring to, is that we have a small group of people in Cayman who have been in the country for a long time. But because of how their particular immigration status and finding and getting access to birth certificates has been a challenge for a number of people, then proving how that lineage lines up neatly with the legislation has been challenging. Now, that's not a big, that I know of, that's not a big group of people in terms of numbers. And all I can say to the caller is that we will continue to work hard on immigration reform. And certainly if the caller knows of anyone in that particular situation, let me explain, let me be clear on that. Person who've been here for, and a lot of issues, a lot of times they've been here for a number of decades, but have had just challenges proving, because sometimes it didn't have a birth certificate. Sometimes, and this is another issue that has happened, sometimes they or their parent was born out of wedlock. And so navigating it when a person was born out of wedlock becomes another issue, especially when the person that they're trying to get it through was born down in the 50s or down in the 40s. Because a lot of times that we're talking about an adult that may be 50 years old today, but the person that they can get status through was born in the 20s or 30s. And so all of a sudden navigating and finding and proving via a birth certificate system because they weren't married winds up being another challenge. So there's so many little strands to various people who are in Cayman. We can't fix everything for everyone at once. What we saw is a discrete bucket of people, a group of people who are living in Cayman right now with us who need to have their situation regularized. This isn't no hundreds and thousands of people that are coming from outside. People in the Cayman Islands that we need to ensure that we have their status regularized so that they can enjoy the full benefits of being in Cayman that they should have from the very outset. But again, I can understand back then, a lot of governments, looked on and said, okay, do we go to legal drafting and try and come up with a legislative fix? Or do we get people home and give a directive to the chief immigration officer whereby EXCO writes you a letter and says, you are now landed in the Cayman Islands. You can remain for the rest of your life. You do not need a work permit. And like I said, it's a real issue. It's still alive, and we need to make sure that the descendants of those persons who have now been at home, been back in Cayman for 3-4 decades, gets regularized.
Okay, few questions in the comment section I'd like to get through before we end today's program. RMR says, I thought the immigration changes were to remove people and to ensure no further status grants were given. We always screw ourselves when we have an opportunity to fix a wrong. So I know that the two of you, immigration doesn't fall under your remit as minister and as permanent secretary, but how would you respond to this, Minister, from the perspective of the NCFC government? Is the government's thinking is that they want to remove people and ensure that there's no further status grants being given?
Sandra, the changes thus far has been around ensuring that we put back in place a term limit, because the term limit then naturally causes persons to reach the end of their stay in the Cayman Islands and have to leave the islands, right? That has been the policy position since 2004 when I was in Parliament, and we created the then immigration law that it be a graduated system of rights, clear and transparent, and that's what we've done. We've put back in a clear, structured way in which persons know when they come to the end of their term limit, and we've done it for government as well, right? So before it used to be private sector only had the term limit. Now it's everyone coming in has a term limit. And so I want to make sure, because the author then goes on to talk about quote unquote screwing ourselves. These are Caymanians these are persons of Caymanian descent who have been in Cayman all their lives, parents and grandparents brought home from Cuba. I want to make sure we're very focused on the issue at hand, Sandra. That's what we're here to discuss. That's what we're looking to fix. We also now we're about to get our presentation on the point system, because I saw a comment that came into one of your messages just now, no points for dog walking. We are now about to get a presentation sometime. I presume it's going to be sometime soon. We couldn't do it over the last few weeks because we were in Parliament and then we had Finance Committee. Now that we've finished all those legislative matters, we're going to turn our attention to what the point system needs to look like, because that's a key part of the reform agenda.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's take a few more comments and we're going to wrap things up. Miss Brenda says, I hope that the requirements for Caymanians to produce documents that don't exist to prove they're Caymanian will also be rectified and this nonsense will cease. Gabby responds to that and said, will you not do the confirmation of Caymanian as of right application? So what documents are needed that don't exist when you apply for your acknowledgement? 'Cause I think that's what she's referring to.
So what would have happened, Sandra, in a number of instances is, and this is slightly outside, well, let me just answer that directly. In some instances, people have lost the documents that they had, right? So you come, so when they came back home, grandma may have had a document that with birth certificates, etc., from Isle of Pine that now is lost. And the author is quite right. We do have a number of people who when a document winds up being lost, and it's from another country where it's not easy to get those documents because of how their registration system works. It proves a big challenge. The case that we're talking about, Pia Sunter and I, the lady who's been here for over 4 decades, that's part of her problem. Part of her problem is actually trying to get documents to prove her claim. Right. In this instance, the reason
yet her grandfather is Caymanian.
Right.
Grandfather.
In this instance, we're putting together a list of some 22 people, and so we believe that this is going to be very broad based, where we can really, really focus in and ensure that we get everyone to come forward who's currently living in the Cayman Islands, and we look at each of those cases, ensure we got all of our ducks lined up, and we take care of people who are Caymanians who are here with us.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Lady D says everyone should be understanding of the situation and that this is finally being addressed. Once everything has been sorted out and the necessary action is in place, then others can be addressed. And I hope that people also understand. I know that a lot of people think very linear, but I think that people should understand that it's entirely possible to be doing more than one thing at a time. So, they're addressing this particular issue on the one hand, highlighting this proposal and resolution, but that doesn't mean that they're not doing other things or that other things are not in the pipeline. And that's why I appreciate the minister coming on today, because I was obviously not aware of this situation specifically, but to know that, yes, this might be a very small and narrow, set of factual nexus that has to be addressed through legislation, but that finally it will be addressed and those people that are impacted by it will have a clearer pathway forward. And at the same time, there are other things that are happening around immigration reform that we will be looking forward to hearing in the future. So Ms. Brenda just clarifying that the question was not related to Cubans. It is clearly about Caymanian children / people. So I think this is about those who have to get acknowledged, as my daughter had to be. We did that early on so that when she turns 15 or 16 and trying to get a government scholarship, nobody has to question whether she's Caymanian or not. I just did it as part of the process. Like, as soon as you go register her birth record, you start to fill out and get a new passport. I said, fine, let's just do the acknowledgement and that's it. Amori says, I have someone with a similar issue that needs to be on that list. Who do I contact?
And when they say that list, I'm not sure if they mean it's the Cuban-Caymanian list, because 2 other comments were read. So I was sure those persons that were struggling with documentation, if they could send a a clearer message to you, Sandra, you can get it on to us along with the contact details. But we wanted, we wanted to announce this today. What we're now going to do, Sandra, is finalize getting the committee together. And once we do that, we are then going to come back with all of the contact details and all the PR so that we can ensure that all
people know who to
contact, and we just move this forward. And as we said, we're convinced, just based on our knowledge of West Bay in particular, that we're not talking about a huge number of people, but the impact it's having on their lives, Sandra, is dramatic. When you can't get a child registered, that is a significant issue for a working class family who now have to go and pay school fees to put them in private school.
Or when one family member is in Cuba and everybody else is here, that's significant. So yeah, there are a number of issues. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. And again, we appreciate just the update. Some of us were not even aware that this was an issue for Caymanians who are here. Ms. Brenda says the Cuban priority is clear. And again, this isn't about Cubans. These are about Caymanians who are living in the Cayman Islands and have been here for decades. Just to be clear, that's what you've clarified. So we appreciate that, folks. And again, thank you very, very much for coming on the program. We do have a special birthday shout out that we're going to do here in a second, but big thanks to the Honorable Ralston Anglin and PS Julie Hunter, working hard for the people of West Bay West and West Bay North.
You got it.
You got it. And Sandra, before coming off the air, though, let me just say I want to thank all of our colleagues in caucus, because, as I said, a lot of people didn't understand how the issue actually worked, and that these were people that are here. Once everybody heard, PS Hunter can attest, everybody jumped on board and said, yes, let's fix it. Because when I presented the case of these little children, everybody then looked on. They just turned to each other in the room and said, how is this exist? And once I showed them the original letter that came from the chief immigration officer that was on the directive of EXCO, and then they heard how these situations evolved. They were like, wow, didn't know. And so all of our colleagues are with us. This is a joined up effort by the entire government who is supporting, ensuring that we regularize people who are here, who've lived amongst us, and in some instances all their lives, and some are adults, but they've been here for decades and simply never got regularized, and they simply hold a piece of paper that prove that they can live here but don't have to have a work permit. And now we just got to get them sorted out, because it's unfair to them. Because now when they go to access government services, they're being roadblocked, right? And that's how a number of these other situations came to my attention as well, is when persons then are needing to get medical care, etc., and they present a letter, but the letter doesn't say you're Caymanian. The system looks on and says, oh, well, show me a letter that says you have Caymanian status.
I can't help you. You don't have status.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. Appreciate the information and letting us know what the government is actually working on. I think that's so important. And what's in the pipeline in terms of resolutions. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you too. Thank you.
All right. So let's put our virtual hands together. We're going to do a happy birthday greeting to family and friends. You guys can send in. Of course, you know that we'll post it up if you send in your stuff. So today we are celebrating a special lady. Can Miss Sasha Ebanks please come into the virtual studio? I know she's not, but I'm just saying. Happy birthday to you. Look at this beauty. 50 years old. Boy, Caymanians.
I don't want to big up Sasha. The best is yet to come. Keep shining.
Hold on. Back it up, selector. Hit the reverse. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that she's 50 years old, first of all. She looks amazing. But Sasha, look at you. Happy birthday. Hope that you enjoy all of it, your special day, and the best of wishes for you. So if you see Sasha today, please wish her a very, very happy birthday.
This is Wayne Wonder. I want to big up Sasha. The best is yet to come. Keep shining at 50 and beyond. Remember, you're not getting old. You're getting old. Happy birthday. From Reese to Sasha. It's Sasha's birthday. Straight from Reese. Happy birthday, Sasha is a beauty. to Sasha. He's wishing happy birthday to Sasha. Happy 50th, Sasha, coming from Reese. Where anyone does that?
Wow, I love that. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sasha. All right, folks, tomorrow is Friday. We're rolling right into another long holiday weekend. So please join us for tomorrow's show, where we're sure to have more topics, of course, that you're interested in. Have a fabulous day, and we will see you first thing in the morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.